Hi everybody, welcome to another drawing activity with me. Today you will need a piece of paper, a pencil and a black pen. You might also want to get an eraser. I've got one on the end of my pencil, so I'm going to be just fine. One of my top tips when you're drawing something is to actually have more pieces of paper underneath. It means it's a little bit softer for you to write on or draw with, and it's a lot nicer. Not as scratchy with your pencil, a lot smoother. So I've got some bits of paper underneath and a nice clean one on top. I don't need my pen for now, that can go to one side. Today we are going to draw a cat. I'm reading a story at the moment that some of you might be listening to called Varjak Paw. So I thought I'd have a go at drawing Varjak Paw, the Mesopotamian blue. Everything in the world can be split up into different shapes. If you look at my thumb, we've got sausagey shapes. We can split it up into the different sections and shapes. So I'm going to be drawing shapes on here for you to copy at home so that you can draw Varjak Paw as well. You can pause the video anytime and then catch up with the bit that you've drawn. If you make a mistake, that's fine. You've got an eraser. And my other top tip for you today is press very lightly. I'm going to start off by drawing a circle. Not too big, not too small, just right. And you can see as I'm drawing my circle, they're tricky shapes to draw. I'm just sketching really lightly. Now I know some people at home won't be able to see that. The good thing about it is if I make a mistake, I can erase it really easily. But because you might not be able to see it at home, I have to press a little bit harder. You don't. You can press really lightly. This circle will eventually become the head of our cat. After that, it's time for an egg. We're going to do an egg that is about 3 times the length of the circle. And our egg is going to start really quite close because we need to be able to join our neck on. And our egg shape comes round like this, about 3 times the size of the circle, and it comes down like this, and you can see my egg is a bit wider and fatter at this end than it is at this end. This will become the body of Varjak a little bit later on. That's the first step. We've got the head and the body. Try to make sure yours looks a little bit like mine. Check the spacing here, not very far away at all. And check the size of your egg, about 3 circles that you could fit inside it there. On to the next step. We're going to be overlapping our lines here, and we start off with the muzzle, this mouth part or the snouty part of Varjak. There it is, just overlaps slightly here. And it's not smack in the middle, it's off to one side because he's going to be looking forwards. Then we've got a nice big circle that starts at the bottom of our egg and comes round like this, comes up and goes really close, and then comes round. Nice big circle here. We don't want it to go up too high, so I need to rub this part out here. A big circle, this will be the shoulders of our cat. And there we go. Circles are tricky to draw. Don't worry about having sketching lines, we can rub those out later on. Okay, next up, the back muscular legs. So you've got a point up here, near where you would imagine the tail to be, and then we come down a little bit, leave a little gap, just down here. And I've put those dots because that's where I want those lines to start and finish. And all I'm going to do is a big letter U that curves under, overlaps this line slightly and comes back round and up, like this. Big letter U for his muscular leg. And then another one that comes straight down from his bottom, goes straight down though, and then hooks under here, like this. Only slightly overlaps down here. Well done if you're following so far. Remember, you can rewind the video at any time. If you need to rub bits out and change bits, you can. That's absolutely fine. Okay, the next part is really important. because we're introducing some key features for our cat. So the first bit we're going to do are his front legs, and they're going to come down from this muscular shoulder. They're going to come down here like this. We're going to do a nice stretchy egg, overlaps this circle part, stretchy leg, stretchy egg comes down like this, and then just like we did the letter U here, overlap again with another letter U here, and that's the leg in the background. Now we're coming to his back legs. This might seem a bit strange, but we need to do a bit of a rectangle here, starting on the corner where this letter U was. There's the rectangle. Come slightly lower down than his front bit, but not by much. So we need to almost imagine that he's standing here. We've got to draw his feet on in a moment. And then another almost rectangle shape. It's a quadrilateral that comes, but this time it comes straight down like this. And this one's a bit higher up. You see the bottom of this one is lower down than this one. Try to make yours look like mine. It doesn't have to be perfect first time. This is our first go at drawing such a complicated creature. Okay, the neck, or this chest part of the cat, starts over here, right next to this circle, and it comes down in a big swoop and joins where the leg comes away from the shoulder. That big swoop there. Super job. And now the top of his head comes up from just above the top of the circle here. I'm going to curve it round like this. That's his neck connecting to his head. And of course, we've got to get his ears in. But to do his ears, first I need an important line that goes from the middle of his muzzle up to the middle of his forehead. That's going to show me where to draw my ears, because I can have one on this side that doesn't reach the middle, and I can have one on this side that curves right down here like that, and there are his ears. If you're following step by step, that's brilliant. We're just going to add on one line here and one line here, which will help us when we draw his eyes a little bit later on. If you need to rewind and change some parts, you can. I know this is tricky, but it's going to be worth it in the end. If you're ready for the next step, the first thing we're going to do is leave a little space, and we're going to draw an invisible line across here along the bottom. Now can you see I've made my line quite thick? It's because I don't know exactly where his feet are going to be yet. I want to give myself the choice. So I've used my sketching grip to make my line quite thick. Okay, now that we've got this line here, I'm going to put his feet in, starting with his with his back paws. So I'm going to do a little shape like this for his back paw. Can you see? It's standing on that line, and then another one here, like this. Those are his back paws. They look strange at the moment, but it will all come together. His front paws are a bit trickier. We've got to come away from the bottom of this egg, this upside down egg shape, come this way a bit, and do the same thing. A little bit tricky with his front paws, and then another one just here. I'm going to make this one a bit taller. There we go. So far so good. From here we need a nice muscular sweep, muscles, just like that. And then from the top we're going to follow the egg around for the start of his tail. The tail is going to come out, sweep down. Well done if you're managing to follow so far. Time for his mouth. At the bottom of this line that we drew earlier, we've got two little almost triangular parts, two diagonal lines, and then we're going to have his nose that will go across like this. He's starting to look a little bit more like a cat now. And then from these lines here, just a diagonal line that sweeps out, and then one on the other side, diagonal line that sweeps out. That gives us the location for his eyes a little bit later on. Ready for the next step? Be resilient. You can do this. This is our first attempt. So if it's tricky today, it'll be easier next time. Time to add a few more details. The first thing we're going to do is connect these feet together. So this line here we're going to extend and come down to his foot. A little bit of an L shape here actually. A little bit of an L. And then here, same thing. A little bit along the bottom and then up. With the back legs, we're going to do a little curved line here. And then a little curved line here. And then this one here comes up, disappears behind, disappears behind, and this one connects to those muscles back there. Fantastic. The rest of the tail starts at the end, loops round, comes round, bloop. There's his tail. Brilliant. We're going to add a little bit to his ear. One line like this, and one line like this. Remember, you can rewind at any time. If I'm going fast, that's fine. Slow me down. From his nose, just turn that into a little point. And then we're going to put one circle here for his eye, and one circle here for his eye. Now he's really starting to look like a cat. This is the part where we start filling in the details. So I might start to use my pen in a moment, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start connecting lots of these lines together. So with where his head starts, I'm going to start putting a little bit of jaggedy bit in his ear. I'm not going to put a jaggedy bit in that ear. I'm going to rub this bit out so we can see straight into that ear. Great. I might decide to give him a little bit of cat makeup. Black lines around his eyes. Excellent, and I could even put in a little cat eye at this point. I'm still using my pencil because I'm not finished yet with filling in all the gaps, but I can bring this bit around, make this bit a bit darker, and this little chin bit comes in here. Great. Hook that chin under. Little line here. How's yours looking so far? It's tricky, I know. Okay, watch carefully with the leg. This part's going to come up for his front leg as he's walking. Up, and then little line here for that muscle. See, I'm not quite happy with where my circle was, so I can rub this part out. Okay, we've got this bit at the back of his leg, comes up to this point. This is like his elbow. And that's too long, so I'm going to rub some of that out. We've got the back leg that we need to do as well, so his foot comes over, and then we've got a back leg that goes up and just tucks in behind. Now I'm happy with that leg, I can rub out these circle shapes that I did earlier with my light pencil. Now that I've started pressing a little bit harder, and you can see Varjak is coming together a little bit more. I can rub out the lines here as well. This big circular part, I don't need it anymore, but I do need that shouldery bit at the top. It's quite a chubby looking cat, isn't he? It's obviously well fed. With these feet, a little bit darker, then curve it round to join that curved line, and from the heel we can just go straight up to that elbow joint. I don't know what that is called on cats. And rub these parts out. This bit we can come up, come under the tail, and then back up to the top, behind the tail there. And then this part, we're just going to make this a bit smoother as it comes round, down to his foot, over, and then again, his foot comes up, and goes behind his tail. There we go. The tail we can make a bit darker now. I'm going to curve this bit round, and I'm going to make his tail a little bit bushy. Just by doing jaggedy lines with the pencil there, a little bit bushy. Over the top of his shoulder, meet his back, round to the tail, and then finish the rest of the tail. The face is always the trickiest part. We're going to finish off his snout by bringing this side up to his eye and making his nose a little bit darker. And as with all cats, he's going to need some whiskers, but I'm going to save those for at the end. I'm going to put this line in, these little flicks, but I'm going to rub out the lines I did earlier for his face. Those light lines I've rubbed out. I'm going to rub this one out too and leave only part of that shoulder line, so that cat is coming together really nicely. Still want this big muscular leg, good for jumping, and rub out this crotch line where it crosses the tail. And you can see it's really coming together now. A little tiny fluff in that side, in that ear. Going to make this eye come a little bit pointy with his cat makeup. And he's a proud Mesopotamian blue. This bit's a bit shady because I had to do the circle so many times, so I can rub parts of this out. It starts to become a little bit clearer. Rub this part out here. And now I'm going to use my pen. I don't really need to use my pen because it's quite clear in the way that I've used my pencil. But I can just go over every line now with my pen, make the furry parts a bit furrier by adding jaggedy lines. Come round. And you can outline yours with pen if you like, but you don't have to. Finish off his mouth, cat eye makeup. The other one, cat eye makeup. We've got the chin that comes round, this little bit here, and then that big chest sweep, that muscular front leg. And I'm going to put in little claw or little pads there. Up we come for that leg, and there's his elbow. Back leg, same thing, little pads. But I'm going to add a little bit of shading here to show it's the back leg. Fluffy tummy, with a bit of a jaggedy line, and that muscular back leg. And again, I'm going to do pads on his back foot. Up it comes, around it goes. Here comes the back leg. And again, pads. Up for his cat elbow thingamabob. And again, for the back leg, I'm going to do some shading to show it's the back leg. Here's a big fluffy tail. And the tail goes round. And we come back from the neck into the shoulder, over his back, round for the tail. And when I've done everything, I should be able to use my eraser to go over all of the pencil bits and leave only what I've done in pen. So with my eraser, I can rub out the pencil. Very important to let the ink dry. If you start rubbing out too early, you'll smudge ink all over your page. And here you can see he's starting to take shape. Varjak Paw, proud Mesopotamian blue. It's our first try at really drawing an animal using those big shapes. But I think it's pretty good. Let me just do some floor under each of his feet. And there he is, proud Mesopotamian blue. Something missing. And of course, really quick movements to show his whiskers. What do you think, everybody? I'd love to see yours if you've had a go at home too. Send me your pictures on Class Dojo, and we'll have a whole pride of cats, cluster of cats, group of cats. It'll be great to see. Thanks for watching. See you next time.